So we're looking at the past simple and the exercises that we did. Remember with the past simple. The past simple, because we can speak about things that happened in the past. So giving information what happened in the past. Okay, so let's have a look at some exercises together. We have Frida Kahlo. You remember we looked at the money, and on the currency, you will see Frida Kahlo. So we can make a sentence and say Frida Kahlo was from Mexico and was a painter. That's using the verb to be to say where she was from and what is her job. So she was from Mexico and she was a painter. We can also say, we have to use the present simple because this is true information today. She is on the 500 Mexican peso notes. And the next one, we have George Washington was the first president in the United States. So make sure you can see the use of this past verb. So he was the president. Frida Kahlo was from Mexico and she was a painter. He is on the $1 note. And the third person, if you remember, Ichio Higuchi, I don't know how to pronounce that, was from Mexico and she was a writer. She is on the 5,000 yen notes. So just really simple. We've used the verb to be in the past, was or were, to say which country someone is from and what is their job. You know, she was a painter. So it's in the past because it's not happening now. This is because now I think Frida Kahlo is not alive. So in the past. Okay, let's look at Marco Polo. And again, practice with the past simple. The past simple, you remember you've got regular, you put the ed, or if you have, the regular rule, you put the ed, but if you have irregular, they could be lots of different verbs. So Marco Polo, that's our subject, grew up. So that comes from the verb to grow, to be raised. Where did he spend his childhood? So Marco Polo grew up in Venice in the 13th century. So remember, the 13th century is the year 1200 to 1299. So 13th century. When he was 17, so the verb to be, he traveled. Remember, if we have a verb and it ends in an L, we make it a double L. He traveled with his father and uncle. They went. Went comes from the verb to go. It's in the past. So you went somewhere. It means to go in the past. So they went from Venice to Persia and finally to China. Polo lived in China for 17 years and he worked for the Khan. 24 years later, he returned to Venice and wrote a book about his journeys in Asia. So wrote is irregular. It comes from the verb to write. The book became. So became famous, that's irregular. It comes from the verb become. It became famous across Europe because of the stories. Marco Polo died in 1327. So we can use the past simple to talk about someone's life who is no longer living. We must use the past simple because it's not happening now. You know, it's an action that was completed, that is finished in the past. So he's no longer alive. It's a very long time ago. So we have to use the past simple to our action words. So any information I want to talk about his life, I can do that using the past simple. So this was about Marco Polo. So what was the rule? So remember the past simple actions. If it's regular, you add the ed, maybe the d, or if it ends in a y, you add the ied. So that's for the regular. If it's irregular, it could be so many different verbs. So it depends. The verb could be, spoken. It could be I saw, I went, I drove the car. Okay, so irregular means these actions do not have the ed regular ending. So there's many words that are irregular. You just have to learn them. And to make a negative sentence, we have a subject. We know I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and we say didn't. So we add not, but we add the verb do. So for example, I didn't see my friend yesterday. So remember, the verb must be in the infinitive. So we do not, that means to, whatever the verb is. We don't put the ed, we don't put the ing, it's just to verb. So this allows us to create an action. We know how to create it. We add the ending. Or if it's irregular, or if we want to make a negative sentence, we need to say didn't. Okay, so that was the rule for the past simple. We looked at being able to ask questions now in the past. So it means the time is maybe like yesterday, last night, last week. So to ask and answer questions, we can use one of the W's like when, where, what, why, did. And then we have the subject and the verb. So remember, there's no ed. So for example, where did Marco Polo live in the 13th century? So where is talking about location, and I can make that question. Where, I can ask you, where were you born? Or if it's about someone else, where did you live last year? Okay, so really simple. The subject, where did you live? Where did you go last night? Where did you buy that jacket? Okay, so where means I want to know about the place, the location. When did he travel with his father and uncle? So this was about Marco Polo. So again, I can make a sentence with when if I'm speaking with my friends. When did you travel to Europe? When did you begin your course? When did you call me because I didn't see your message? Or when did you message me? Which parts of the world did they go to? So which parts, which areas of the world? You could use which to say like, which languages do you speak? Which restaurants are your favorite restaurants? Which book did you recently read? Okay, so which is a question that I could use to ask questions like that. How many? So remember, how many is always a question with about a number. So how many years did he live in China? So remember, we're talking about Marco Polo. Now again, how many years did you live in Italy? Or how many years did you study English? How many years? Or again, the years could be days. How many days were you away for? How many hours did you sleep last night? Who? So who is a question about a person. Who did he work for? Or I can ask you, who did you see last night? Who did you give my bag to? Or who did you like when you were young? So when again is a question about time. When did he return to Venice? So when did you finish work? When did you book your tickets? Okay, so really important. Just remember the verb is in its infinitive. It does not have the ed or the ing when we ask questions with the main verb. But remember, we need to use did and one of the W's. So always start with the W's, where, when, which, who, why, and then say did and the subject, the person that you want to ask the question to or about someone else, and then the main action that you want to know, the information. So make sure there's no ing, no ed. What did he write a book about? Okay, I can ask you, what did you see last night in the movies? What did you cook last night? So number 6, we have these time phrases that we could use when we talk about the past. Remember, always say, when did the action happen? So you could say on Wednesday and use that at the beginning of your sentence. So on Wednesday, I went to the movies. This week, I worked really hard. Last month, I went for a holiday. Last March, I had my birthday, for example. In the 60s, was a famous band called whatever. Last evening. So that's like saying last night. Last evening, last night, I made dinner. Or you can even put the date. Okay, Curly. So on February the 28th, my dad came to Australia. And we can put the year. So in 1962, my father came to Australia. Okay, so these are called time expressions, and we can use them at the beginning of our sentence of the past simple. So number 7, you can make sentences. So as I said, time expression, subject, remember I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and then the past simple action. So for example, I could say, last evening, I watched a movie. Last month, I visited my grandparents. Last week, I cooked pasta. On February the 28th, I met my best friend. In March, I went to Melbourne. Last March, my brother arrived in Adelaide. On Wednesday and Friday, I worked. Last week, my friend went to the cinema. Last week, I called my father. Yesterday, I went to the beach. Last weekend, my mother told me that she loved me. Last evening, I ate a pizza. Last March, I was on holidays in Cusco, Peru. Last night, I watched soccer on TV. Last week, I started a new job. So that's making a sentence in the past simple, but using a time expression which we can put at the beginning of a sentence. So what sentence can you give me, Lucy? Using a time expression, a subject, and then your past simple action. Yesterday, yeah. So yesterday, what action? I made dinner. I saw a movie. I studied for my test. Yeah, exactly. So yesterday, I studied really hard for my test. Or yesterday, I spent many hours studying for my test. Yeah. Curly, do you want to give me a sentence in the past simple, but using a time expression at the beginning? So tell me, when did you do the action? Was it last night, last week, last month, last year? Or you can give me the date. Any sentence. You can make it up, whatever comes to your mind. So just say, yesterday, I, yeah. That's okay. Yesterday, I went to a restaurant. Okay, so anything, as long as you're able to know that you can use a time expression in the beginning and then a subject and then any action, anything. Think of any verb: to study, to speak, to sing, to dance, to read, to write. So you got to be very, very familiar with your action words and just practice them just by saying them: to sing, to dance, to speak, to watch, to play. So always speak a lot of your action words so that your mind can quickly think of what action you want to talk about. Okay, so we have opinion adjectives. And remember, opinion adjectives are like a feeling. They're like telling you, how did you feel about that action? So if I said to you, I bought a dress, you could say, wow, that dress is really gorgeous, or, it's really beautiful. Or if I went on a trip, the trip was wonderful. It was spectacular. The show was spectacular. Or, the film was amazing. The dinner was incredible. Or it was an awesome night. Or it was a horrible, very, very bad movie. Or it was terrible. Or the meal was delicious. Or the weather yesterday was chilly, cold. Or the weather was lovely yesterday. Or, my son is very excellent. He's very good. He's perfect. Um, or I had a perfect day yesterday. The weather was cool yesterday. Or, it was a good film, or not so good, or not bad. So we can give adjectives to the action to give a feeling about it, not just saying, what did we do? But now we can say the feeling. Was it good? Was it bad? Because that's really what these means, good or bad. And then there's lots of different words. So you say it was. Now it is whatever you're talking about: the movie, the show, the trip, the test, um, the your night, your day. So you could say it was, and then you put an opinion adjective. So number 9, making questions, which we talked about before. So remember, make your question by using maybe a W word like what, when, where, or a how, or a did. So this is in the past, okay? Past simple. So how was your evening? Okay, that's like saying to someone, how was your night? But it's like saying last night. How was your evening last night? Did you have a good weekend? These are very common expressions. Did you have a good weekend? So when the weekend is finished and maybe you're on a Monday or Tuesday and you're seeing your friend, you could say, did you have a good weekend? Maybe your friend went to a party. You can ask them, was it a special party? Okay, so using the verb to be, question, was it a special party? So in the past, remember, maybe it was on last week. So was it a special party? Where did you go last night? So where is about location and last night. Who were you with? And using the verb to be in the plural, were there lots of people? Were there lots of people there? So just a quick tip, questions that start with was or were, that comes from the verb to be, or did from the verb do, you have to reply yes or no first. So for example, did you have a good weekend? Yes, I did. Was it a special party? Yes, it was. It was an amazing party. Were there many people there? Yes, so many people came to the event. And remember, for how questions, you use opinion adjectives. So how was your evening? So you have to give a feeling. Oh, it was beautiful. It was great. Oh, it was really bad. My evening was very, very bad. Something bad happened. Or it was amazing. It was good, very relaxing. So make sure you use opinion adjectives when people ask you how. Then we have number 10. So we had to match a conversation. So the first one was number F. F. So if I ask, how was your evening? The response could be, it was fun. I went out for a meal with friends. So these are the questions, and then I'll put a response after. So can you see how that could be an answer? So you could say, so how was your evening? It was fun. I went out for a meal with friends. I went out for a meal with friends. Did you have a good weekend? What could be a response? Did you have a good weekend? It was okay. So it was okay. I slept a lot. I slept a lot. And we went for a walk yesterday. Was it a special party? You could reply and say, yes. My friend finished university, so we went to celebrate. Also, lots of people were there. Where did you go last night? To the cinemas. Or you can make a full sentence. I went to the cinemas. Okay, to the movies. I went to the cinemas. If somebody says, who were with you? So who were you with? So who were you with? Then you can respond and say, my brother and his family. You'd think you have the same family. My brother, you could say my brother and my friend. Were there lots of people there? Yeah, exactly. Negative. So no, not many. Okay, so I have a conversation here. Remember we looked at asking about someone's weekend using the past simple. We made a conversation. This is just an example. So person A says, "Hi, Luna. How was your day?" So make sure you could see that past verb. How was your day? It was great, Daddy. What did you get up to? So it looks like a dad and a daughter. So I'll put here dad, and then this is his daughter. So the dad then says, "What did you get up to?" That means like, what did you do? So what happened in your day? What did you read a book? What did you do? So the daughter says, "I painted a picture and I read a book." Okay, past simple. I painted a picture and I read, that's irregular, a book. And the dad says, "Wow. And did you see your best friend?" Okay, so you can say, "Did you see your best friend at school?" And the daughter can say, "No, she didn't come to school today." Okay, so that's just a little short conversation with a father and his daughter. And you can see that they are talking about, this must be at night. So he's talking about the day in the morning or the day, but it's already finished because now they're at nighttime. It's the same that if you're asking about someone's weekend or someone's trip, because it's in the past. The action is already, the time is already finished. We're now in the moment. So anything that happened in the past, you have to use your past simple. If you want to ask about someone's trip, if you want to ask how was someone's, if they enjoyed, maybe they went to the movies or they had a party or they did anything. Maybe they played a game, an instrument, they had a lesson, a test, an interview. So you can always say, how was your interview? How was your day? How was your trip? How was your dinner? Okay, and using your past simple. So now we know how to use the past simple. We know how to ask questions about the past simple. We know how to use time expressions and make sure that we put that time expression in the beginning. Use opinion adjectives to say how we feel about it. We know how to ask people what they did and talk about last night, last weekend. Okay, so that was the review really quick of the past simple grammar. So past simple, really important. Make sure you know the grammar that we have